Enjoy upcoming events from the Johnson County Library. On Thursday, June 27th, the Johnson County Public Library will be hosting a Universe of Stories at the East Kentucky Science Center in Prestonsburg from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Admission is free and will include a planetarium show, science center classroom experience, and block party located in the exhibit hall. On July 9th, teens in 7th through 12th grade can participate in the Constellation String Art Free program. Attendees will need to pre-register for this event, which will take place from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. July 9th at the library. And the Johnson County Public Library is hosting historic walking tours. Those interested can contact the library to be put on a waiting list and will be notified when there are enough participants to schedule a tour. For more information or to register for these events, contact the Johnson County Public Library at 606-789-4355.
Right. We'll call this meeting Paintsville Utilities Commission order. We'll do roll. Tim. Here. Bitch. Here. Tricia.
Here.
LB.
Present.
Good to see you, LB.
Done this again? Where's my other check?
It's in the mail.
I think there insufficient evidence on this last one.
Insufficient evidence, insufficient funds.
Item number 2. So we got 6 o'clock agenda over here. Item number 2, health insurance renewal.
Yes. Probably the most difficult part of putting the budget together was working on this health insurance renewal. I put a lot of time into it. People over here to my left against the wall put a tremendous amount of time into it. Looked at a lot of different options. The idea of trying to find something that was something we could do budgetarily and still take good care of our employees. I think we've been able to do that, and at a savings of about $500 a month over what we're doing the current year. So I'm very pleased with this proposal. Heidi, if you'd like to present that. Heidi Lynn, KLC.
You all got your renewal packets there. This is Mike Miller with me also, so he's here to help if we have any other questions for him. Your renewal, you're direct with Anthem, you're not in our association. And when we met with Anthem to get your renewal, they were really pleased with it because it was just under an 8%. And they said that was the lowest renewal they had seen in quite some time. So while that's not a bad renewal, it didn't work with your all's budget. So Bob and I started talking, we quoted Humana for you, and Humana came in double for a policy similar to what you currently have. We also went into the association and all your employees filled out applications for us, which is always a pain because they have a lot of information they have to give us. They all did it beautifully. And I'll say again, the premiums went way up. We couldn't get close to what you have. So Bob and I started looking at different plans that are out there. And this blue sheet, which will be on your left side, is kind of showing you what the options were. The first one there is what your employees are currently on. The next one is the suggested renewal, what Anthem is planning to renew the group to just automatically unless they hear differently. Option 1 is one that Bob and I talked about, and I think we're in agreement. It's a good plan. I think this is something you want to look hard at. And then there's a second option should you want to look at that. You'll see across the top there when you go into well, let's start with the networks. This is really important because you can get a lower premium, but some of the networks are very, very tight. They're still good plans, but if you can't leave the state of Kentucky unless you're out there and you're traveling and it's a true emergency, if you can't go, it doesn't really help you much. Especially here, you may have to go to Huntington. It's important. With this access, this is called the Blue Access Network. This network is one of the largest networks in the country. Anywhere you go in the United States, if you see a Blue Cross Blue Shield of that state, you're in network. And that's important. Especially if you have cancer and need to go to Texas, to MD Anderson, some of those big hospitals, you're still in network. If you look at the next line down, it's going to go all the way across. You're going to see deductible, individual and family. This is what they call an embedded deductible, which means if you're on a family plan, each person only has to meet the individual deductible, but a family will not pay more than the family deductible. You can see the deductible was going to stay the same on the plan they suggestion, and the next two you can see they increase from $2,800 to $5,600 for a single and family to $3,700 to $7,500 for option 1, and option 2 goes all the way up to $6,000, $12,000. You currently have HRA for your employees. So Bob figured in some different HRAs based on the money. So let's kind of skip that part and go on to the next part, your out-of-pocket maximum, because that's really important. That's the maximum you're going to pay for covered services. Your deductible does apply to that maximum out-of-pocket. And just like the deductible, if you have one person in your family sick, they have to meet the individual deductible, but the family won't pay more than the family out-of-pocket there. So you either have the individual with the family not paying more than the family out-of-pocket maximum. And you can see for the suggested Anthem plan, where there's a almost 8% increase, they've taken you from a $4,000, $8,000 out-of-pocket maximum to a $5,000, $10,000, which is starting to increase up there. The plan that Bob and I were looking at, takes it to a $4,250 to $8,500, which increases it just slightly, but it's a lot better than what Anthem was suggesting. And then the third one you'll see there, it goes to $6,650 per individual or $13,300 per family. It's a lot of money for a family to absorb. With the HRA that Bob was figuring in there to see what would fit in for the budget, the next part, that's the gap. That's the part the employee will be responsible for. Currently, they're responsible for $1,200 or $2,400 for the family. It would have to go to $2,200 or $4,400 for a family. And under the option 1, it would go to $2,250 or $4,500 for a family. Now, once you meet your deductible, nothing is paid for on this plan until you meet your deductible, other than preventative services, which is covered at 100%. Once you meet your deductible, on the current plan you have, you pay 20% co-insurance. That's 20% of the Anthem discounted amount. That would stay the same on the Anthem suggested renewal. But on the new plan, option 1, where it's going to save you a little bit of money, it actually takes you to a 0% co-insurance. So once you meet your deductible, the only thing that you're going to have to pay for is pharmacy. Now the pharmacy gets a little different, so we'll talk about that too, but it can be a little hinky, I should say. If you go to an office visit, again, what you're currently on, the employees, they have to pay the deductible, and then after the deductible, it's 20%. And that's as long as they stay in network. I don't like to talk about anything out of network because there's balance billing and all kinds of problems your employees can get into. So I highly recommend they do that to everything they can to avoid that. On the plan option 1, you can see that once they meet the deductible, there is no 20%. That's going to go all the way down through emergency room, inpatient, outpatient, and other outpatient services such as chiropractic, physical therapy, occupational therapy. Now pharmacy. Pharmacy is one of the driving costs of healthcare right now. It's extremely expensive, the medications. On this plan, once they meet deductible, level 1, which is going to be your generic and your brand names that are lower cost, they won't have to pay anything for those on the new plan. Whereas right now, if they stay on the current plan or the plan Anthem is recommending they go to, they have to pay 20% of that cost. And that 20% is up until they meet their maximum out of pocket. On level 2, where on the plan they're on right now, is 30%, again, up until they meet their maximum out of pocket. On option 1, it's only 10% until they meet their maximum out of pocket. This 10%, and other than a few other choice items in there, CPAP machines, there's usually a 50% co-insurance that's across the board on plans. A couple things like that that they have to pay percentages on that would help them meet their maximum out of pocket. But that's just on that second level 2 copay, so on, pharmacy. So on level 1 pharmacy, you can see that'll give them a little bit of a break. Because remember, up to this point, they're paying the Anthem discounted amount. It's not like they're getting to pay a copay, so it's no $25 or $50 if they go to the doctor. If the doctor is $180 for a visit, which isn't uncommon, Anthem's discount may be $100, just for round numbers, they would then be responsible for $100 of that. The next is going to show you the rates. The rates on their current plan right now is $656.42 for an individual. On the one that Anthem would like to move you to, it's $708.22. And on the option 1, it's $704.29. Your savings on the option 1 comes in that you're going to give them less money towards their HRA because of the maximum out-of-pocket is lower. It will save you money there. Am I losing anybody? I should have said stop me with any questions.
Oh, we would have.
I thought you might, but I wanted to make sure. Sometimes I'm worried that I talk too fast. You can see that really you're still giving your employees more. You're doubling, basically, almost doubling what they're going to have out of pocket for themselves, for their part of their part of their medical care and for their family. And you can still reduce your costs by keeping them away from what Anthem would suggest, which is a higher out-of-pocket and a higher deductible. Or, excuse me, just a higher out-of-pocket. It's a lower deductible, but a higher out-of-pocket. And really that out-of-pocket is what you want to be concerned with. Because if someone gets hit with something really bad, a really serious cancer or something like that, really the maximum out-of-pocket is what they need to look at. Because as long as they stay in network, they know that's their final cost of what it's going to cost them for that year. And your plan, everything is going to reset now July 1st because you are on a plan year and not a calendar year as far as benefits. So your benefits and your policy all renew at the same time on 7/1. On the other side of your folder is what they call the summary of benefits. I would have brought you what they call the SBC, but there was a little bit of a clerical error in one of them. So we left those out and brought you the shorter summaries. I think they're a little easier to read. You can go through them and read them for your pleasure, especially if you have trouble sleeping at night. They will put you to sleep pretty quickly. But they're nice little look through if you want to see them and see what kind of coverage there's are. But just remember, the big thing is on these plans don't pay anything other than preventative until you hit that deductible. And that is a pretty big policy. Matter of fact, everything that President Trump just signed into executive order, I think it was yesterday or the day before, he's pushing for more of the HRAs and HSAs in these type of plans to let people have control and discuss it over with their doctor and who they go to.
Well, thank y'all for your work. I know it was a lot of hard work.
Bob did a lot of, I want to give kudos to Bob because he really put himself out there and really worked through this, the numbers and trying different things. And we can't figure anything with the HRAs. Bob had to do that whole part, so.
It takes teamwork.
Okay. Well, based on the work that you all done, I'll make a motion that we accept Anthem Direct Plan 3H1H as presented, that we renew our comprehensive HRA plan with American Fidelity, with the proviso being that the new employer contribution level will be $2,000 for a single and $4,000 for a family. That we renew our Section 125 plan, whereby employees are allowed to pay certain voluntary insurance premiums on a pre-tax basis. With this plan to be administered by American Fidelity. And finally, that we authorize Bob as general manager to execute all needed documents to accomplish these things.
So, we have a motion, do we have a second? We have a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Good work, Bob.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Sally.
I'll send you some general marks.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Item number 3, property casualty insurance.
Yeah, we had expected our representative from Roading Agency to be here this evening, but he had a medical emergency. His brother's on life support. He has to be there. Have the information in front of you. It's actually a flat renewal with some increase for some increased coverages we had, primarily due to the I&I project assets we've added, and then changing our truck fleet. So, I have a request there at the bottom.
I make a motion that we approve the quote from Roding for property and casualty insurance through One Beacon in the amount of $104,030.54, and for the cyber liability insurance with BCS in the amount of $2,567.
I'll second.
A motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have
Almost over again.
it. Item number 4, 2019-20 budget.
Got quite a bit of information in front of you on the budget. We also have the current year recaps if you want to see them. Proposed budget, total revenues, $8,716,500. Total operating expenses of $6,527,000. Other income, $15,000. Other expenses of $139,000. Debt payments of $1,629,946. Net capital expenditures of $434,500, with a net cash budgeted gain of $1,054. And can go over any line item you want to on that.
I guess there'll be any lunches this year. Bring a brown bag
Don't
from
want to
Yeah.
change anything. I'll make a motion that we accept the proposed budget that Bob has submitted.
I thought we were just talking about income. I do have a question.
Sure.
Bob, I noticed that the chemical increase is at $94,000.
Yes.
That's a pretty huge increase for 1 year, ain't it?
We have some process changes on the water side, kind of working through things with the new plant, and as the lake kind of changing character, we've had to add some chemicals, change some dosages. Found some operational issues on the sewer side of one of the plants that had to increase the disinfection chemical there as well, so it's running the cost up. That may be a little over budget, but I wanted to be safe with it.
I'll tweak it later. I've already made a motion.
Got a motion to accept the budget as,
Second.
all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 5, cost of living adjustment.
Yes, put that in there for your consideration. Something we've historically done, we did not do it last year because of the increase in health insurance. You might should consider increasing employees' wages by 1.9% versus 2018 CPI.
Given the fact that we were able to have a savings with the health insurance this year, I'd make a motion that we increase employers' wages by the CPI of 1.9% for the next calendar year.
Motion second, all in favor, aye? Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 6, executive session.
We'd like to have a quick executive session for a couple of personnel items, please.
So moved.
With a motion,
Second.
all in favor, aye? We are now in executive session. Well, everybody clear the room a little bit. Right. We have a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
All in favor? Approved. The only discussion in executive sessions, Commission gave Bob permission to consider the hiring of a personnel, and that will be withheld until Bob makes that decision. Item number 8, the scheduling for the July 2019 Commission meeting.
Yeah, it is regular schedule, July 1st. I just wonder with everybody's vacation schedules if that would work.
First, I'll be out of town.
You good?
I'm here.
Ken? Dave?
Just real quick, let's,
I don't know what date that tournament's over down there. This is we're going down to 27th. Yeah, we'll probably be back by then.
So I guess for now, we leave it as regular schedule. Hate to schedule anybody out.
Just give my check to LB.
stays the whole time.
Your witnesses.
Yeah, I heard it.
But you know, Tim
I mean, from
said
delivery to me.
Tim said he had to stay the whole time too.
Oh, okay.
No checks until it's over.
Item number 9,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
second, all in favor? We are adjourned.
All right.
Everybody have a good